you at some point?
Oh, for sure, yeah, in the tournament, yeah.
Just at this rate.
It was Moose SR, by the way, was Scrublord's opponent. He PB'd as well, or he came very close to a PB actually. All right, and we have it. We have they are off.
Fun prologue.
So you'll see Laurie, at least because rdwalshv is actually seems to be delaying a bit. It doesn't matter since the game uses IGT anyway. So we'll get the runner synced up soon. Laurie, you'll see, is hopping along this bridge. Each hop saves about 2 frames. Actually, exactly 2 frames. Unfortunately, taking a death. You know, I've experienced that before. I think that may have actually been a bit of a button issue for Laurie because she didn't get a full jump there.
Yeah, I know
that happens sometimes. All right, so
that happened to me a few times too. There we go.
We'll see the runners now gaining the dash mechanic as well, which they'll be using pretty obviously throughout this run. The dash as well as the jump mechanic to provide and conserve momentum, respectively, using techniques like the hyper dash, which is a crouching dash jump, and a normal dash cancel, among some other things that we'll get to along the way, like, for instance, the vertical wall bounce, which you just saw RD do there.
Yep, that is a nifty trick. I've finally gotten it almost consistent for me, so that's at least good. I'm learning a bit.
Yeah, it can be hard to get consistently, for sure. So Chapter 1, you'll see showcasing pretty much every bit of speed tech that this game will have to offer, which is pretty neat considering it's only Chapter 1. So you pretty much see every bit of it here. But it's very simple. The controls for this game are very simple. However, the tech is very unique in that it combines these simple mechanics to create not-so-simple mechanics. And you'll see Laurie there just did something called an extended hyper dash, which involves, it's a 5-frame trick actually getting extended hyper dash. You have 10 to 15 frames to jump after you dash from a hyper dash in order to actually maintain that dash midair. So you'll see players actually using that in order to conserve their dash and gain speed as well as distance. You also see Laurie doing something called neutral wall jumping up that wall. If you jump off a wall without holding a direction, either left or right, you will actually not use any stamina climbing up a wall. So you can actually climb infinitely up a wall that way. It's slower than normal climbing, but the lack of stamina usage makes it really useful.
Interesting. Good. I'm learning new things.
Now we have Chapter 2 here, which is going to introduce a couple new mechanics. These blocks, blocks with stars in them that you'll see Laurie passing, she's about to activate them. Ooh, interesting route there. That was fun.
Yeah, I think she was just trying to save it. Luckily, she knew about that little crevice.
Yep. Yep, that's what separates better runners of this game from other players, is they know how to respond to their own mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes in Celeste, like, it's pretty much a given. But when you make a mistake, you gotta know how to handle it.
Yep.
So these dream blocks are now activated. You basically dash into one side of them and then come out the other. It's pretty simple. You maintain dash momentum throughout, and you cannot change direction while you're inside of them. We also see this purple-haired person following around. It's actually you. That's called, what we call her battle line. She follows your movements exactly. She mimics your movements about 3 minutes, excuse me. Wow, that'd be a lot of about 3 seconds behind.
That's about the whole stage, man. You all right?
Yeah. They'll finish the stage. She hasn't even moved yet. Wow,
yep.
That's interesting.
Another thing to note about the dream blocks, and with a lot of other mechanics, is that you will regain your dash after going through them.
Yep. You can also jump out of them as well, and you'll see Laurie doing that here. This screen is very difficult, by the way. Laurie, unfortunately, taking a death. Yeah, you can see she actually jumped out of that one.
Whoop, hitting the corner there.
RD steadily making his way through the battle line section as well. About to enter the two last and also two most difficult rooms here of the battle line chase section. Handles that one very well.
Oop.
Yeah, this room can be a pain for sure. Sometimes the best thing to do when having trouble is just to take things a little bit slower. And that's exactly what RD did there and handled it very well.
Yep. Even though this is a speed run, sometimes the better tactic is to wait, because death could cost you more time than it would be just to wait a couple seconds.
Wise words spoken.
Yep.
And we have Chapter 3 now, which is a very cycle-based chapter, as you'll see in a minute. You'll have these dust bunnies moving back and forth and in a circle in this particular room. But basically, your work in Chapter 3 involves avoiding these, obviously, but avoiding them in a way that's fast is not very easy.
Case in point.
Exactly. You can blame that one on me. Commentator's curse.
What are we gonna do with you, THDs?
I don't know. Banish me, probably. This first part of Chapter 3 is honestly one of the most difficult as well.
Yeah, I agree a little bit. I still struggle a little bit.
Ooh, that was an interesting strat. A wall bounce there to get over that instead of going under it. Very interesting. That's a great thing about this game, is that there's so many different ways to handle each of the rooms, and you'll never see two runners doing the same exact thing all the way throughout a race. It's very, very preferenced.
Coming up here, one of my favorite tracks coming up, the Huge Mess track.
Yep. Huge Mess room. Maybe.
Yeah, in the room, yep.
Not the favorite of a lot of runners. Lots of nooks and crannies to navigate around.
And if you were to ask me why it's my favorite, it's the little piano riff.
So the Huge Mess section here consists of 3 little subsections. Each of them, upon completion, removes a bit of the debris from the main room, as well as every other room in the section. As well, you have the towels, the boxes, and the books, I guess.
Yeah,
because
towels, boxes, and books.
Yep. And we route this section very particularly so that Oshiro is actually standing at the end of each of these sections. So we do the south route first, because Oshiro is pretty close here, and next Laurie is going to go do the north section. Oshiro can be very hard to talk to. And I mean that quite seriously, actually, not even joking. It'll be interesting to see what kind of strats these runners do in order to deal with the cycles. There are obviously more advanced strats for the cycles, but different runners are comfortable with different things.
Yep. And that's what makes this game very good, because you can have all the different people running it, and you can see all the different strategies, and they all work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Perhaps my favorite of the cycle-based is this route, the waterway route. It's just mesmerizing to watch all the dust particles just move in tandem with everything.
Yep.
And already navigating through his huge mess, getting to start that part of the level.
Nicely handled. All right, so now approaching what's probably the most technical part of Chapter 3 is this elevator shaft section. Yeah, you'll notice a pretty sharp contrast in difficulty here compared to the first couple parts. Taking advantage of wall bounces here as well to navigate pretty quickly through the twists and turns of that room. The infamous hyper key room, and unfortunate to catch the cycle. Ooh, twice in a row. Unfortunate to catch the cycle where it is right there.
Oof.
Yeah, this is just... It can be hard to time this, for sure. She's doing a very good job with the hypers, and just finally decides to just normally dash through, which is totally respectable.
Yeah. Very hard to get the timing and the positioning and the button presses correct. It's...
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't want to say... Go ahead.
Even if you complete the hypers successfully, it can still be hard to catch the right cycle, which is a pain.
I mean, I don't want to say it's frame perfect, but it feels frame perfect, but I know it's not. But
definitely precise. So
yeah. I
think precise is the right word. All right, so now Osho is really mad at you because the Battle Line told him that his hotel is a dump, and he's basically trying to run you off the roof of his hotel and kill you, because that's how hotel managers usually react to people telling them their hotel's bad. You know, leave a bad review. It can work out not the way you wanted. You know, so to obviously, but you know, that's just how it works.
This is why you don't leave 1-star reviews on Yelp, guys.
Yeah. So the last room here that Laurie is coming on, this room is very difficult. This room is very long. And we're still cycle-based as well. Things moving back and forth, and also Osho chasing you around doesn't make things any easier. But very well handled there. Nice job by Laurie. Nice resort.
Nice. Yep. 625, I would think I saw.
Meanwhile, we have RD finishing up the huge mess section, heading to the elevator shaft. We'll see how well he deals with the elevator shaft section here.
Mm-hmm. So far, it's looking good. Laurie entering Golden Ridge, everyone's favorite zone, right?
Certainly mine. All right, so this zone is going to be introducing wind mechanics. Yep. Wind mechanics as well as bubbles and clouds.
Yes.
So these bubbles basically act as an extra dash. Just think of it as an extra dash, basically. Clouds act as trampolines. They can bounce on. You can actually jump dash and get your dash back off of clouds as well, which is pretty useful. One interesting thing to note about wind, by the way, is that wind mechanics actually completely ignore your dash. So they do not affect your dash at all. So if you dash into wind, you will dash as if you were dashing with no wind at all. And the same goes for hyper dashing and jump dashing too. So for a more established runner, wind will not usually play a huge factor in how they play. Very nice double wall bounce strat there to completely bypass that moving block on the left side. We'll see what strat Laurie opts for here for the auto-scroller skip.
Looks like she's going for it. Gotcha.
The extended hyper dash. You can also hyper and bunny hop there to skip that. It's slightly faster, but it's way more dangerous. was a very nice reverse wave dash there. You see so many different strats in that room. You see 2 wave dashes off the tops of those platforms. Sometimes you see 2 reverse. You see 1 of each.
Yeah, it's crazy how many different times I've seen that room done.
Yep. That was stylish.
Oof, already getting caught by Yoshiro there.
Yep, can be very easy to do in this room. Not only is this room difficult, but deaths are very costly as well, especially later in the room.
Yep. Because every death will send you back to the start of it. So
Yep.
short rooms, not too big of a deal. Long rooms like this one, hurts a lot.
Yeah, and you'll see a great example of wind not necessarily affecting players that much who hyperdash through all the rooms. Like, you're essentially constantly hyperdashing, so it doesn't really matter that much that the wind is blowing. Oh, that was unfortunate.
Oh, I think Laurie didn't compensate for the fact that the wind was going to stop right there.
Yeah, the wind stops in awkward places in that room. Can be a little bit annoying to get used to, but
yep.
Laurie finished chapter 4 with a time of 3:51, I think that was. I couldn't quite tell, but pretty solid chapter 4. Meanwhile, we have RD just starting Golden Ridge.
Mm-hmm. And Laurie's going to be starting the Mirror Temple. Very annoying casually, but speedrun, oh, it's apamazing.
Yeah, this part can be, speaking of amazing, I don't mean to make a pun, but yeah, this place is amazing. I apologize.
So
I apologize. But anyway, so these red bubbles, getting away from that, these red bubbles basically extend your dash infinitely, much like the blue bubbles do, except they do it infinitely, until you hit something or dash out of them. And you'll see Laurie actually did a skip there to skip that red bubble on the left side.
I think you got red carded for your pun there.
Yeah, I think I expected that. This room right here is especially cycle-based with the saws at the end here. Catching the optimal cycle there is really hard. Pretty soon Laurie's going to be moving into the second part of Mirror Temple, which is going to introduce more fun things.
Oh my. Like this guy right here.
Yep.
This Seeker.
So in a
you get the control. So you get to control the Seeker just to show how he works. Can destroy certain platforms, can destroy certain blocks, but cannot pass through others. And this is going to be your test coming up.
I don't think either of us mentioned, by the way, another pretty interesting mechanic of Chapter 5 is these platforms in this next room here that move when you dash, and then slowly move back.
Oh yeah, you can gain some insane speed off of these.
Yeah, you really can. In some spots, it's pretty dangerous though to attempt. So this section is called Unraveling. And and it's pretty important for Mirror Temple, especially the last room.
So a good thing to point out is that the Seekers themselves and their little explosion radius when they die and resurrect can also trigger the keys, as you saw right there.
Yes. All right, so this room right here is very long and difficult. So it's interesting to note that there's actually no RNG to how the Seekers move. But it can seem like it sometimes, definitely, just because of how they move, and like there are a lot of different ways they can move based on like your position, your movement yourself, just like the nuances in the way you move. And here we have Search Skip by Laurie, very nicely done there. So that casually saves about 2 minutes.
Oh my, yes. Otherwise, you have to get, what is it, 2 keys, I think? Or is it just
yeah,
one?
2 keys, and I think actually an extra key, too, on the right side to unlock something else. To unlock the red bubble to take you across.
Yeah.
Laurie having a bit of problem with stamina there, but ultimately making it all the way up. All right, so now we have the Theo section. Theo is really interesting because it's definitely one of the most technical parts of this run for sure. You cannot actually dash with Theo, and that's pretty much the reason. So what you'll see Laurie doing, and eventually RD, what you'll see both of them doing is actually picking up Theo and then throwing them instead of just walking with them. And they'll be hyper dashing into Theo and catching him to provide that momentum and conserve it.
And this, as we saw there, Theo can also hit crystals, and in fact, it is required in one room. I believe it's the next room? I might be wrong.
It is, yes.
Yay. I remember things. Oh! Wow. I've never seen that happen.
I think what happened was, yeah, she wall jumped by accident, not thinking she was on the wall. Now that happens. Meanwhile, RD, very nice, pulling off the red bubble skip on the left there.
And Laurie in the final room. You're going to see these little wave pulses. If they hit you, they're going to drive you back. So best thing to do, throw Theo and try to dash.
Yep. What they're actually doing as well is they're dashing after the wave hits them. They're not actually dashing through the wave, but they're dashing after the wave hits them in order to counteract that backwards momentum.
All right. I always seem to go right before it, and it's never affected me. I must be getting it like perfect then, I guess. I'll have to look into that.
If you try to dash before, then the wave will just counteract your dash momentum instead. Got to do it slightly after. So you have Laurie approaching chapter 6, which is a pretty long chapter, full of tiny little strats that save you a bunch of time. Laurie going for lake skip. Almost. Deciding ultimately to not do it anymore, which is plenty respectable. Lake skip is very difficult to pull off.
Yeah, very, very difficult.
But decided she'd give it one try. Shoutouts to Kevin. So these crush blocks we affectionately refer to as Kevin blocks because Kevin Reganey from Power Up Audio is the one who made the sound for them by dipping his head in the bucket of water and yelling. So it's pretty amazing. So yeah, shout outs to Kevin. So we call them Kevin blocks. Yeah, so something interesting there was Laurie actually climbing to the top of that crush block to get her dash back. Yeah, I always say Chapter 6 is full of just, like, little tiny time-saving strats that are fairly difficult and or technical, so you'll see a lot of different strats used for Chapter 6.
Yep. You might even see a few different paths, too. Depends on the runner's preferences right now.
Yep.
Laurie took the most common one. I take a slightly different one, usually, just because I'm not comfortable with the one just yet.
Yeah, it's all about what you're comfortable with, for sure.
Yep. But yeah, that one room where Laurie was in basically like the crosshatch of all the different paths, there's actually 2 ways to get to that room, so.
You'll see some runners taking top path here as well. Top path is significantly more difficult, but saves about 0.3 seconds, so you'll only see crazy people like Ben Teasy go for it.
Shoutouts to Ben. Good feather section there from Laurie. Now entering the, I guess, is there an official phrase for this section?
I call it the ravine.
The ravine? Okay.
Yep. You'll see some dev-intended shortcuts here. The first 2 actually have setups for them and are fairly simple, but the last one can be a little bit tricky, and Laurie actually opting not to go for it, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, that last skip in there, it's pretty precise.
Yeah, it is. It's the first 2 you can rub against the
back
wall.
To the beginning of the room.
Yeah, the first 2 you can rub against the wall to fit yourself in pixel perfectly, but the last one you actually have to fit yourself through, and it can be pretty difficult. Ooh, that's unfortunate. So we'll see if Laurie does the Battle-In boost here. So entering Battle-In.
Here we go.
It was a slightly different version of it, but a pretty effective one nonetheless.
Not bad.
So what that is essentially it's a hyper dash into a bunny hop off of the Kevin block, which gives you an extra speed boost and can get you all the way to Battle-In if you bunny hop perfectly.
Yep. Yep. Taking the momentum from Kevin, introducing your own momentum, and just keeping it. There's, I think, another kind of instance of that in, I think it's in Summit in the Mirror Temple section, or is that in the regular Mirror Temple? I forget.
I think there might be one in both. Yeah, there's one. There's one in. There's one in both actually.
Okay, yeah.
Meanwhile, rdwalshv actually is about to enter the Theo section pretty soon. Having a little bit of trouble with the secret there. Meanwhile, Laurie blasting her way through Battle-In here. Very nicely done section so far.
Yeah, just watching these near flawless runs of Battle-In, I'm envious of people who can do this. Slow and steady that's the key. Slow and steady. Already making it to the Theo section.
Looks like so far RD opting to walk for the most part with Theo.
Another thing we actually didn't say about the Seekers, although we usually don't see it too much, but we might see it on RD's side. When the Seeker resurrects, you can actually use its shockwave to give you a nice propel.
Yes. Although it can be slightly inconsistent to do so, it can be really swag to actually use one of the boosts.
Yeah, I sometimes use it because reasons. Like right
here. Oh, there we go. Nice.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Laurie in the really long screen in the battle section. Last one. Very nicely done. Pretty clean Chapter 6.
Very nice. And with that, defeating Battlein gives you an additional jump.
Yep.
Or additional dash, I should say.
We've officially leveled up in this RPG we call Celeste.
Level 2. So what you're going to be seeing here is you're going to be seeing a lot less land and a lot more sky.
Yeah, for sure. So essentially what Summit is it's a culmination of all the levels that you've played so far, and it reintroduces each mechanic in a pretty genius way. What you're essentially doing is you're climbing the mountain against. You just got knocked off in Chapter 6, or right before Chapter 6, I should say. And now you're reclimbing the mountain with 2 dashes, and it's significantly, well, easier according to the story. But it's a lot harder in the speedrun because Summit is one of the most technical levels of the game. It's certainly the longest by far.
Yes, it is. Yeah, or as what we were saying, like we get to see all the different things. It's also a Celeste in review, is what I like to call it.
So Laurie's PB is a 41:17 according to speedrun.com.
Oh, this could be PB for her. Possibly.
Very well could be. I don't feel like
let's send her energy. That's all we need to do. Send her energy. You said 41. It's about 11 minutes from now, and she's been in, so she'd have to have a 13-minute summit to not PB effectively.
That's very feasible.
So we're seeing old city mechanics with the mechanical blocks.
Yep, very nice bunny hop there to skip the first spring. Saves a negligible, but not so negligible amount of time, as I like to say. Nice wall bounce strat there as well. Pretty clean first 2 parts.
Yep. And RD starting the reflection.
Yeah, friendly reminder that Laurie actually died on Prologue and might PB.
Yeah.
Pulling a YP. Shoutouts to YP. Nice recovery there in that room from Laurie. She was a little bit out of sorts with where she initially dashed, but was able to recover from it quite well.
You know, I hate to say it, I think she's actually thinking she could PB.
Yeah, another really nice recovery there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, hitting the diagonal instead of the normal. That's okay.
I think she's fine.
Yeah. I just, from what I can tell from a lot of games, usually you can tell when the controls start getting a little unnatural, that usually they're thinking of something that they probably should push to the back of their mind.
Yeah, that can definitely happen.
And like I said, this case, I think it might be she might be thinking, oh, I have a chance to PB.
Oh, that is... Oh, that hurt.
That was mean.
That hurt because it's like a pixel. She went just a little bit too early. There we go. Ooh, a nice avoidance there. Oh.
Ouch.
Yeah, 1500 is, in my opinion, the hardest part of Summit. Even harder than 3000 meters.
Yep.
Oh, it's just the... Okay.
She can save it. She can save it. There we go.
Got it.
I think I've had to save it like that once.
Oh, again by a pixel.
Game
that always hurts.
There we go. Heading up to the Golden Ridge section.
Yeah, so Laurie taking a bit of a beating from 1500, as 1500 tends to do. Now moving on to 2000. So the top route is actually a little bit faster here than going the bottom route.
Ooh, catching the little corner there.
Not quite making it. Meanwhile, we have RD inching closer to the battle line section. He can save this. Ooh,
nope. I think that snowball got in the way there for Laurie. Have we ever figured out who the heck is throwing all these snowballs?
Me.
Oh, okay. But then when you're playing, who's throwing them at you?
I don't know. Probably still me.
Okay. Future Tej?
Laurie opting not to do the auto scroll skip.
Yeah, she did attempt it once.
After fail, yep, she attempted it. Yep, just once. Oh, no, that's not good. That's not good. Oh. Yeah, these rooms can be brutal, especially if you're on potential. Especially if you're on potential PB pace. You know, hands could be shaking a little bit, and stuff can go awry.
Come on, Laurie, just breathe. You'll be fine.
But I think this run alone is a pretty good sign that Laurie is very, very primed to PB very soon.
Oh yeah. Alright. Already on his battle line fight.
There we go.
There we go. Made it to the battle and help section of 2000, so
Yep.
two more about
each
3
of
more
these
throws.
screens. Yep. Each of these screens from here are really long, by the way. Especially this one and 2500 are just like super long. They become all the more important that way.
Alright, now Mirror Temple revisited. And yet another skip.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of the speedrun right here is 2500. Nice recovery there. And nicely done there as well. So key skip is a double neutral wall bounce here. There we go. Nicely done. Very nice.
One of these days, I'm going to get that.
Fun fact, that skip is actually made a lot easier if you have 2 buttons down to jump and you hold one of them while jumping with the other. Will Laurie go for door skip is the question.
Why not?
Going for it.
1.
Yes.
Got it.
Flawless. Flawless victory.
Well done.
Yeah, so door skip looks really... Wow!
How
What a
did
save! What a save!
You want to talk about pixel perfect right there. That looked like it was pixel perfect.
Legitimately impressed by that save. That is... wow. I thought she was done for.
So did I. Alright, and the final part of the climb. 30 flags separate you from victory.
Yep, so as 3,000 meters is mostly a vertical section, you're going to see a lot of wall bounces here to maintain that vertical momentum, especially in the downdraft section right here where the wind's blowing down at you. Makes you feel really heavy, but if you wall bounce upwards, like Laurie just did right there, you can preserve your upward momentum pretty easily. But wall bounces are pretty difficult to do consistently, so there's that trade-off.
Oof.
Meanwhile, RD about to finish up Battle Line in Chapter 6.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, in my opinion, that room that RD was just in, that's one of my favorite rooms for the battle and fight, just because of the fluid movement you have to have.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see how RD handles this room. Very nice.
And done.
First try in that room.
GG.
Super good. RD finishing up Chapter 6 and will make his way towards the summit very soon. Laurie sneaking in between spikes here in the meantime.
Flag 10. I've always hated these spikes.
Yeah, this part's difficult. As here at the second to last screen in the game for Laurie.
RD starting his climb. So fun fact for people who, if they mess around with assist mode, all those parts where Battling catches you and throws you up in the 3000 area, you actually don't have to do that. You can actually dash through it.
I believe that's correct.
I just found that amusing when I did that once. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
You can also just dash through all the spikes and like not worry about it. Just dash straight up the entire time. It's pretty funny.
Yep.
Well, we have Laurie coming up on time. You know, an unfortunate summit, but a really, really well-rounded run. Otherwise, GG to Laurie on the 42-54 finish. She is the winner of this race.
Yep.
And GG.
All right, so RD continuing his climb.
There are like 5 different strats you can use on this last screen of 500 meters. It's one of the more interesting screens of Summit, in my opinion. We have the reintroduction of Dream Blocks. So we'll see if Laurie wants to come in for an interview.
Yep. Another thing I do want to mention about the game is the soundtrack, especially for 3000. Or for, not 3000, but for Summit. It's just... If you listen to the official soundtrack, unfortunately, they found a way to make it loop for whenever you're in each zone. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, specifically where those breaks are, because it's hard for me to catch it. But listening to the whole Summit track is just so good because of the way they add the more instrumentals and the different pieces of it.
Yep.
To correspond with every section.
Yep, I think it's a layers trick actually done in order to make that effect.
Yeah, like
yeah, you're right. The official soundtrack version actually doesn't. It doesn't do that. It just transitions between the different styles.
Yeah, and I know you're a bit more musically inclined than I am, so.
You see a lot of modern games doing that nowadays. Actually, a game I used to play, Fez does that. I think Hyper Light Drifter does that. Actually, both of those games were composed by the music for those games were composed by Disaster Piece. And yes, the official soundtrack is available on both Bandcamp and Amazon and Spotify as well. Lena Rain did a fantastic job with the soundtrack.
Yep, she did. Unfortunate she couldn't be at SGDQ with the devs.
It is unfortunate, yeah. I think this is the most difficult screen in Summit, personally. Getting through it fine, RD is. RD, if he can stay solid throughout the last half of this Summit, RD does seem to be on a pretty decent PB pace as well. His PB, according to SRC, I believe is an hour and 14 minutes.
Let me check what we got.
Not quite getting this extended hyper. There we go.
Yep, 114. Yeah, 114.10. As of 2 weeks ago, at least, on the official board.
Yeah, let's get some hype in chat for Walsh.
Yeah, he's... I will go ahead and say it, and if this happens, feel free to give me all the curses in the world. But unless something catastrophic happens, he should be getting a PB.
Well, we'll be sure to come knocking at your door with the pitchforks.
No problem.
If that indeed doesn't happen. We know who to blame. Interesting strat. They're using the screen transitions to...
Yeah, he's probably not comfortable with the double wall bounce there.
I believe that's actually... Yeah, I believe that's actually the intended strat.
Well, with comments from different races, we'll be sure to ask him if he did actually get APB. That just hasn't been verified yet.
Going top route there is RD, which is a lot safer than going bottom for sure. Not attempting the auto score skip on this screen. Yeah. Perfectly respectable.
Probably definitely not comfortable with that. Yep. So rule of thumb for people who do want to run this: don't try to learn every trick at once. Work on one thing. Just one minor thing until you get it down.
Yep.
Then work on the next. Then work on the next.
That's what I did learn in this game too. I started out with almost zero strats, and then like just slowly incorporated more and more strats into my game.
Yep. Like, I think one of the first strats I learned was the reverse wall bounce for the skip in Chapter 5.
Oh yeah, that's definitely like the one strat that everybody should learn first. It saves by far the most time of any strat in this game.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Yep. And then yeah, just somebody in chat just pointed out, and consistency is also the best thing. Work until you can basically keep your death counter near the same amount, preferably a low number. But just as one of the postcards tell you, be proud of your death count, because the more you die, the more you learn.
Honestly, couldn't be more right. $2,500 here for Walsh.
Whoops.
This room is really tricky because, yeah, especially if you wave dash off the tops of these platforms, it can be difficult to gauge where exactly they're going to be, because, like, when you wave dash, you dash, obviously. But what that does is it actually affects the position that they're going to be. So you have to, like, anticipate this first block, for instance, being higher, like that. Yeah, this strat is very difficult.
There we go.
RD will not be attempting the key skip.
To be fair, that is a very difficult double jump up there.
Yeah, it is. Ooh. Yeah, that's the risk of dashing up there. Climbing up there is way safer.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is already gonna go for it or no?
Oh, he's going for this strat.
Ooh.
Come on, you got it. Got it. Nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right. Does he go for it? No, he does
Not
not.
quite.
That's okay.
Honestly, like now that I've become like used to doing door skip, I find the non-door skip strat to be like almost more difficult. Strange how that works.
I think it's just because you're not used to it anymore.
Nicely done.
All right, 3000 M entering at about 5350.
Yeah, so if his time on SRC is correct and he hasn't gotten any better time since then in races, which apparently he actually might have, well, he's about to beat his SRC time by a landslide.
Oh yeah. Probably gonna beat my PB for sure.
Yeah, so it's a definite PB in that case, and a possible sub 1 hour.
You know, something I thought of we should. I think a good thing that we should probably do, just for funsies. If you still have the initial seedings, what we should do is after the round robin stage, let's see where everybody would have ranked at that point. If we would have started,
That would be interesting, yeah, because it would be totally different.
I would want to see that.
Probably. We've had so many players PB in this tournament; it's been ridiculous.
Either that, or if you want to give me those that first master file, I can keep track of that.
Successfully skipping the flag there is Walsh. Nicely done.
All right, more than halfway home. Right here, in my opinion, this is one of the more difficult parts.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even just that last dash through the spikes. Oh, we could have saved that with some neutrals. He might not be comfortable with neutrals, though. There we go. Alright, come on, RD. Let's get the sub hour.
Alright, down to 5. Good presence of mind to know he wasn't going to make that jump.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of under it's underappreciated, I think is the right word. Honestly, because you're gonna die in this game, and you need to know how to die quickly. It sounds really stupid, but it's true. Like, you know, like for instance, mashing A after a death is really important. If say you die 20 times in a speedrun, mashing A after a death actually saves like a second to a second and a half each time you do it. So effectively, you save 20-30 seconds by just mashing A after a death. As well as retrying when you know you're going to die anyway. So for instance, if you're like on your way to falling into a pit and you press retry, you saved a bunch of time. And
Sub
there
hour.
we go.
GG. 59-21. GG.
Absolutely. Nice job to both runners. We couldn't get Laurie in for an interview, unfortunately. We will see if RD would like to interview.
$159 deaths. That's not bad. Not bad for a sub hour.
It doesn't seem yet like I can get a hold. Okay, he'll be right in, he said. All right, so we will have RD in here for an interview very shortly. I'm not sure if is there anything coming up. Dude, I actually don't have the speed game schedule on hand. Is there anything coming up soon?
Let me take a look for you.
I know there's okay, so there's Shredberg versus King Joe at 9:30 here on Speed Gaming 5. I don't know if there's anything in between then, and if there is, we might want to actually wrap this up pretty soon.
Let's see here. Actually, yeah, it looks like Super Metroid's going to be coming up here very shortly, so let's make
so
a
we might have to
fast
skip out
interview.
on the interviews.
Either that or very fast. One or the other.
Okay, yeah, so I'm sorry to RD Walsh for that. If you can hear this, my apologies, we cannot get you in for an interview, but yeah, we're about to wrap this up. Once again, thank you very much for watching. I have been TGH.
I've been Duke.
And make sure to follow the runners, by the way. Two very good runners of this game, only getting better as well. We will see you for Super Metroid here, as well as back at 9:30. We'll have more Celeste, so we'll see you guys then.
Yeah, Celeste at 9:30 here, and then Celeste at 11:30 over on Speed Gaming 3.
All right, peace out, guys.
And actually, we have back-to-back Celeste on Speed Gaming 5.
Yes. All right, peace out, guys. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time.
Much love, guys. See you for Super Metroid.